AEW All In Review. I'm going to give you my grades for each match right now. My top 3 matches of the night, best entrances, best gear, loudest pops of the night. Was this show better than SummerSlam? On record, after SummerSlam was over, I thought, this might be one of the best SummerSlams of all time. So for this to beat what we saw at WWE's second biggest pay-per-view of the year would be saying a lot. I'm not saying that, though, necessarily. It was close. This was a very good show from top to bottom. I pretty much loved every match in it. There was one or two that I didn't think were necessarily great. But, man, when you have a crowd be as loud as this crowd was for as long as they were, it's hard to argue against this being a really, really solid show. AEW's biggest show of the year. Let's not waste any more time. Let's dive right into it. I'm sorry, I'm not going to cover the pre-show. We're going to get straight to the main card. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all that good jazz. Yeah. So it started out, I was kind of shocked. It started out like Dynamite would start out sometimes, with all the entrants into this 4-team trios championship ladder match already in the ring. I did kind of have a little bit of a problem with that because these big pay-per-views, a lot of it, man, it's about the entrances and the spectacle of the entrances. So we didn't get to see that on the main start of the pay-per-view, but I think I might understand why they did it this way, to get more buyers. You know, they're watching the pre-show, you're undecided whether or not you're going to buy this thing, and then you get to see the entrances of the first match. Well, like, okay, well, the pay-per-view, it's starting. They're coming to the ring. I haven't bought it yet. Well, if I want to see it, I'm going to have to buy it. So I think they did that to get and attract more viewers. I guess I would just like maybe to see it as more of like a crossover. Like, yes, you're seeing the entrances still for free on YouTube on the kickoff show, but at the same time, the pay-per-view has already started as well. Just give it like a free few minutes of the pay-per-view, and I guess essentially that's what they kind of did. But yeah, I was a little bit disappointed in that. But man, we got right to the action quickly, and it was pretty darn good action. It was a fun way to open the show. And yeah, like I said, it was smart marketing. Try to get more people to watch it. Pretty good match overall. I think they hit on most of their high spots. The tiny ladders, though, at first, some of those ladders were so daggum small. I'm like, kind of took a little bit away from it. Eventually, yes, we got bigger ladders involved, but that ladder was too doggone tall. It was hitting the belts up there. I was like, what's going to happen? They accidentally knock one of these belts down. And it also wasn't explained very well. Like, it looked like, okay, clearly they're going to have to grab the belts one at a time. But I was telling my buddy, I was like, watch, they're only going to have to grab one of these belts, and then they're going to ring the bell, and that's going to be the winners. Like, okay, to me, you should have had to grab all 3 of the belts. I kind of would have liked to see the hook thing like WWE uses, where they have to unhook more than one belt, so the belts all come down at once, and it added a lot of intrigue in recent WWE pay-per-views where they were doing that. And like, they're getting it unhooked, looks like they're about to be able to unhook it and take it off there and win the match, but then other people come, so it makes that very exciting. So I would have liked to seen that played out a little bit differently. Just a tiny bit of a disconnect when you grab one belt, and there's supposed to be a trios championship and the bell rings. But like I said, I thought most of the spots were done pretty doggone well. It's like a fine line to me, though, in making things choreographed and having multiple people do the same thing right at the same time. Like, it just comes off as a little bit hokey and a little bit too set up at times, you know, with the double spots through the tables, both guys going through the tables and everything at the same time. But I didn't hate it. It was pretty good, and I do like to see, even though I'll argue against it, I'll argue for it too. It's kind of fun to see how in sync they can be on both guys going through the table. Makes the pop that much bigger. You got 2 guys going through the tables as opposed to 1. But again, with that, it was like the ladders weren't exactly tall enough to make it seem like a big, risky type of bump that these guys were taking, but it was still executed well. I thought the thing that was the biggest in this match for me, and I'm probably forgetting, it's a very long show. I made a few notes as I'm watching it, but I'm going to miss things. I'm going to get a lot of things right, too. It's just how she goes, Bob. But I thought the thing in this match that sticks out and that I remember the most, and God bless, I can't even remember who it was now, but they had the big, tall ladder, and the guy gets sent off of there, and he gets racked in the nether regions on the top rope. And that was from high up there. That looked very, very believable, and that would have hurt. An old school thing to do in a ladder match, and I thought it was one of the best that's ever been done as far as taking the top rope into the lower regions. And overall, this match, like I said, fun way to start the show. It didn't totally blow my socks off. BCC gets the win. And I think that's the right call in this one. I was rooting for the House of Black. Thought they might kind of need it as well. But there's an argument to be made that the Blackpool Combat Club needed it more. It would do more for them going forward. I think both of those factions have just kind of been meddling around, not very relevant as of late. And this will help put a little shine on the BCC. And I also think that they let them win to help set up the moment later on with Bryan Danielson winning the championship, and his family's in the ring celebrating with him, and the Blackpool Combat Club is in the ring celebrating as well with their championship. So you have 4 championships in there at the end, because of what happened in this first match, making the Blackpool Combat Club perhaps arguably the strongest that they've ever been. And that is saying a tremendous amount from where they have come from now in such a recent span of time, going from just mediocre to being one of the best factions in the business, in the gold, and the presentation of showing them all with gold at the end to end that show says a lot and shows a lot, and I think will help the BCC moving forward. Overall, opening match, I'm going to give it a B, an official grade of an 84. The next match was the AEW Women's Championship, and an honoree for Match of the Night. This was a great match. Excellent storytelling. Couple of good false finishes, and just the build to this thing was so doggone good with the shoe. And we see the shoe get involved a little bit in this one. We did have the crowd chanting, "This is awesome." Don't think we heard that from the first match. It was just really, really, really well done. You know, to me, I haven't had a lot of questions on whether or not Mariah May could wrestle just from some of the few matches that she's done. I'm like, okay, yep, she's still a little green, but she's got an it factor to her, and I think she proved herself on AEW's biggest stage in a pretty darn big way here. I had picked Toni Storm to retain and Mercedes Moné to lose, so then maybe Mercedes could go after this championship, but this works very good as well. We're sticking from a babyface versus heel standpoint. We have Mariah May winning, but Britt Baker lost. Now Britt Baker maybe can work her way up, get some quality wins, and you set up a program with Mariah May and Britt Baker. Sure, Toni Storm's probably going to be wanting revenge, absolutely. And I think this loss for Toni Storm, she can still do the timeless character, but add a entirely different wrinkle. And we saw a little bit of that with just how irate she was and enraged she was, and she can get even crazier and go even deeper into this timeless Toni Storm character based on the fact that she lost this match. But again, good storytelling, good wrestling, couple of very solid false finishes, and Mariah May is your new champion. Very interested to see what she can do with it. And, you know, the question now is to be asked, though, is she ready to be champion? Now she's the champ. She's validated, in my mind, based on everything she's done, but it's a whole nother level when you're the championship. It goes back to the old saying, are you going to make the championship, or is the championship going to make you? We shall see. I'm excited to see what happens with both these women's. I'm giving this match an A94 honoree for match of the night. The FTW title, Jericho singing his way to the ring with Fozzy playing. They did that last year as well. And I'm just thinking as Jericho's coming down, like, that's got to just feel incredible, man. You're the biggest show of the year, and you're also getting to sing in your own rock band your way to the ring. It's just got to feel really good for him to be so successful in two different art forms and to have them mixed together like they did over in London. I love Taz getting involved finally. A lot of people have been talking about, like, why is he just standing by at the announcer's booth letting Jericho disrespect the FTW championship, the championship he created? Why is he just doing that? And everybody will give the excuse of, well, he's not really medically cleared to do anything. He's not going to be able to do much. Too old. Can't get him hurt. Well, they played it right. They played it right in what he did. They go up behind Brian Keith, the bad apple, take him out of the equation. Big Bill had been taken out of the equation a little bit before that. And Hook is your rightful owner. And he said in the post-conference media scrum, it just feels right. And it does feel right with him being the FTW champion. The only really criticism I have about this match is the tap out of Jericho in the ring happened a little too quick. I was focused on Taz choking out Brian Keith, and even the cameras focused on that, and kind of off to the side, you see what was happening in the ring. So I didn't. When I was like, oh, the bell rung. Oh crap, Jericho tapped out as well. So that was a little bit of a miss there, and I think at times there were 4 or 5 different spots in various matches where the camera work could have been a little bit better. I do think AEW's production as a whole is improved from where it was a year, even 6 months ago. They have so many audio issues and everything like that. And the camera, it's tough, man. It's tough. I've been in that business of trying to produce different shows, trying to get the camera shots exactly right. It is not easy. They missed a few, but they got most of it right. But this was one of the misses there at the end. It just should have waited. And maybe it was on the wrestler's fault. Maybe the cameraman thought, yep, I'm focusing here. And then Brian Keith is going to be laid out, passed out from Taz choking him out. Then we put the focus back on the ring. So maybe it wasn't even the cameraman's fault at all in that. Maybe the tap out by Jericho was just a little bit too quick. Got to look at every side of things and determine the possibility of what might have happened based on looking out all the factors. But I liked it. I was entertained by this entire thing. It wasn't one of my favorite matches, but it didn't disappoint me. It was about what I thought it was going to be. I'm giving it a B-, an 82. Let's move on. The AEW 3-Way Tag Team Championship. This was one of the ones that I had the most problems with on the night. In the end, was it still very entertaining? You had wrestlers doing all kinds of different crazy things, a lot of fun spots. Absolutely. But I've never been a big fan of whenever you have a triple threat tag team match of only having 2 guys be legal at the same time. It doesn't work for me. There were like so many different points in this match where I was like, I have no idea who's the legal man right now. Who are the legal men? And I got very confused. I like it whenever, you just can't throw the referee. And Rick Knox, God bless him, but he's the blindest referee that I have ever seen. And he just lets everything go, and the wrestlers do whatever they want. And this thing was just overbooked. But it wasn't terrible. It was the right call with the Young Bucks retaining, set up their next opponent. It was okay, but it was definitely my least favorite thing to that point in the show. We do see the grizzled young veterans wipe out the young vets, young bucks. All right, they both got young in the name. Oh yeah. Let's make it. That's a good feud. That's a good feud for the next. Yeah, all right. Yeah, it'd be okay. You've just seen a lot of London era-based wrestlers appear on the show. Why not? You're in London. They're going to come out. They're going to get a big pop. Grizzled young vets got a pretty big pop. And yeah, so it's okay. It's definitely the right call in having the Young Bucks win this thing, going C plus 78. AEW Casino Gauntlet #1 contenders match. They're battling for the chip, and I believe can be cashed in at any point in time, just like WWE's Money in the Bank. And to me, it was one of the loudest pops and a nominee for the pop of the night. Nigel McGuinness, huge pop. He doesn't wrestle anymore. He's a commentator. Well, at least not on this night. Be interested to see if he wrestles in the future. Him and Bryan Danielson for the championship after an incredible rivalry that they had in Ring of Honor that helped put Ring of Honor on the map and make it a big deal. Man, oh man. And then again, another home countryman. Incredible pop. And Nigel did a fantastic job. I thought he was going to get in there, do a few spots, and then he'd get wiped out. We see him come back 2 or 3 different times after it looked like he was going to be wiped out. And that was just because the match just kept going and going. And the thing I love about these casino gauntlets is we don't know how much time there's going to be. The clock will just appear and start ticking down. And next thing you know, you got another guy. And you don't know when it begins or when it ends. Yes, I do like my rules and things, and I like to know what's going on, but I know that that's the type of match this is, and it added intrigue to it. It really did. I'm a big fan of this casino gauntlet, and I think they'll definitely keep using it at the biggest show every year. I loved it. I thought Ricochet, he had a pretty darn good pop, but I think just, the dirt sheets and everything, I try to stay off him. I don't want to know. But I think a lot of people knew, and you could even hear the announcers saying, oh, yeah, the rumors are true. Ricochet is all elite, but he got a big pop, and he got a hell of a showcase. He did an absolutely fine job. It's just something so simple, man, like whenever you're coming on to I know he's been around WWE, and I've seen him a lot, but just whenever you go to a different company or whenever you're new coming in, what's your drop kick look like? What's your simple moves? How good can you make those simple moves, the basics, look like? And Ricochet, that first drop kick, just how high he got. My goodness, I popped really loud for it. And like I said, he had a couple other really good moments. Very excited to see him in AEW, him and Will Ospreay. Whenever they go toe-to-toe, it's going to be fantastic. Just, AEW puts the focus a lot. We're getting to see them doing a lot better job of mixing better storytelling in there, and I think they can have a fine balance of that. Yes, this company, yes, we're all about the wrestling, but if you're really all about professional wrestling, then you are going to have that sports entertainment and tell me some stories. Tell me some out-of-ring stories. Tell me the story once you get in the ring. And I think AEW is doing a much better job of that. Ricochet is going to come in. Really looking forward. I mean, I don't know exactly off the top of my head. We're going to keep this thing moving, but that Will Ospreay, because they're friends. That was the first match that comes to mind that I want to see Ricochet have. But there's so much potential for him to, definitely probably get one of the mid-card championships, I'd say. Not definitely, probably. Definitely. We'll say most likely he will win a mid-card championship at some point. Will he ever be AEW champion? I would have immediately said no. But we saw a guy like Swerve Strickland win the AEW championship, so never say never. Elsewhere in this match, Christian coming out made him leaving in the trios match earlier makes sense. I didn't really hear him tell that story, but you could say, oh, he left to preserve himself because he knew he was going to be in the gauntlet. So they tied that in nice. Then we even saw Luchasaurus. We didn't see the Kill Switch name. We saw Luchasaurus as the last man out. So we're thinking, oh my, maybe this is, and the crowd chanting Luchasaurus, maybe this is going to be the moment where Luchasaurus Killswitch turns on Christian Cage, and he finally gets a good singles run and goes back to being the babyface Luchasaurus as opposed to the heel Killswitch. But man, they swerved us, didn't they? They absolutely swerved us. Killswitch hits the choke slam, throws Christian on top of the other guy, I forget who it was, taking the pin. It was a little bit of a deflating ending, but it sets up a pretty darn good opponent and sets up Christian. If he can cash in at any time. It's a good little storyline they got going with him. I was really surprised by it. I was just like, I don't know. Am I that interested in seeing Christian go after the heavyweight championship again? Maybe not necessarily, but when you get the right opponent for him to go after, I would argue Bryan Danielson, a very good opponent for him to go after. There'd be a lot of intrigue, and they could tell a pretty darn good story there. And the Patriarchy loses the championships earlier, so now Christian wins this chip, so it keeps the Patriarchy strong as a faction as well. Yeah, didn't see it coming though, man. They got me until it was O'Reilly. It was O'Reilly. We see him getting up. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. He's going to choke slam O'Reilly instead. But they had me until just the very, very end of that. I'm going A- for the gauntlet, a 90. We get the American Championship next. One of the highly anticipated matches on this card. Said it on my prediction show. This was the match that I was most excited about seeing. Yes, career versus title in the main event was a very, very close second. How about Will Ospreay's coming to the ring and the package before that? A great crossover, great advertising with the Assassin's Creed game and having that character narrate Will Ospreay's journey and tying the common similarities of that game and what Will Ospreay has done and tying the Tiger Driver into the story. It told one hell of a story there. I will say, after that, and MJF's got a good introduction as well, wearing all the American gear. And again, I just think they made that American Championship so they make sure he's back to being fully a heel. And they went to the extreme to get him heat before that match even started, with the confetti and the American flag, at least MJF's version of it, with his face all over it instead of the 50 stars to get heat on him. But then the dang confetti all got caught in the rafters and it's falling in the ring. The referee's doing the best he can to keep it out of the ring. More pieces are falling on the ropes. It was a little bit distracting and poorly executed, I thought, but I quickly got lost into the mat. Poor upper deck, though. I probably couldn't even see with all the... It wasn't confetti, it was the streamers that was hanging down from the top. Those poor guys in the 300s probably couldn't see there for a bit, but I guess it's no different than people getting blinded at WWE stadium shows when they got the dang lights on, and it's dark and the lights blinding you. Anyways, we're getting off subject here because this match ended up being fire. A lot of action and very incredible moves on the apron. The hardest part of the ring, they say. And that Canadian Destroyer on the apron was sick. And this was a hell of a match as well. Nominee for Match of the Night. Was it as good as their first match? No. Probably not, but if you throw in where it was at, the stage that it was on, you could make an argument that it was a bigger match, yes, but probably not quite as good. Garcia coming back made sense. MJF loses, so continues their rivalry, gives MJF something immediately to do following this loss. And Will Ospreay finally used the Tiger Driver again. As the ref was knocked out. There was a few too many ref bumps, too much involvement with the belts and the refs and ref distractions. Some of it was okay, but a lot of it was just not believable with the ref's back being turned for so long. We saw that 3-4 different matches, I think, tonight. But this was okay here. Ref slowly got back in. Had teased another false finish for me because he was taking a long time, but MJF did not kick out. And loudest pop, one of the loudest pops of the night, when Will Ospreay won back the American Championship that he immediately changed into the International Championship. Once again, this match was an A 95. TBS Championship, DMD CEO Britt Baker challenging Mercedes Moné for the TBS Championship. It wasn't the hottest to start out, but there was some few highlights in this one. But I'm sorry to say that this was my least favorite match of the night. It was oversold and under-delivered. I thought Camille getting banned from ringside, that was pretty brilliant, pretty funny, with Britt handing her the title back and then falling down in the ring acting like she got hit. But I don't know, man. I didn't love this. I didn't think their chemistry was very good at all. And again, I hate to say it, but this was the bathroom break match, guys. Smoke break, get another beer. I got distracted by my buddy's cat during this match just because, get distracted. It's like it's not going well. My attention to it starts waning a little bit. Now, if the crowd gets excited, gets popped, like, oh, my attention is right back on the TV. That didn't really happen. I went on a little farther. I'm like, okay, I need to focus on this match so I can actually talk about it. But I was distracted in this match. It just didn't really do much to grab my attention. I'm going to go a C minus 72. Yeah, least favorite match this show, man. Kind of a bummer. I'm still interested to see what's next for both women, though. We'll see if Britt can get some wins. Like I said, maybe work her way into a championship with Mariah May. Who does Mercedes fight next? I don't know. Jamie Hayter, possibly. But you figure if they were going to maybe set up that rivalry, that we would have saw Jamie Hayter, one of the biggest women in AEW, come back actually on the main show, but that didn't happen. She was on the pre-show. Still haven't even got a chance to watch it. I'm not even sure what happened. But she's on the freaking pre-show. Like, that was the only spot it would have made sense for her to come in on the card, but if they're going to keep her away from Britt Baker and not continue them being together, then I guess it makes sense that you left her off there, but it doesn't make really any sense at all to me. It's because I want to know why she's not with Britt Baker. Like, tell me a story there. Let me know what's going on, because they were together for so long. You can't just have her come in and then not have anything to do with Britt. So I think she got wasted on the pre-show, and for her to come in and challenge Mercedes Moné wouldn't make a lot of sense unless she would have come out there and tried to help Britt win this match. But we shall see. Moving on. Don't forget, guys, to hit like, follow, and subscribe. Much appreciated if you did. Try to get to 100. That's the subscriber goal for right now. Coffin matchup. They had Darby Allin. Coffin match for the TNT Championship. Darby Allin and the scapegoat, Jack Perry. We had Darby with thumbtacks glued to his face. That was cool as hell, man. Using him as a weapon, trying to scrape his face against Jack Perry's face. It was hardcore. So, we got first match pretty hardcore. Then we got a lot of good, just solid wrestling mixed in between. I mean, this show had it all, man. No matter what type of wrestling you like, this show had it all. It was a little short, though. It was a little short. I think they could have done more. I don't know if that. I wouldn't think you're constrained for time, because AEW, that's some of the longest shows, and they're just like, go out there and do what you do, guys. As long as you go, whatever. It's going to be a 6-hour show. Who cares? Like the Tope Suicina that Darby Allin hit. Well, he was trying to hit Jack Perry, but Jack Perry moved. Darby goes crashing into the coffin. That was created and executed well, but the crowd wasn't always into this match at times. I mean, I guess you could say they were still into it because based on the storyline, everything that happened with CM Punk, we get some CM Punk chants, but to me, I'm just like, come on, guys. And we get CM Punk chants later on, so I get it. He was part of the story, so it made sense, but I would have rather not heard it personally. But then we get some AEW chants shortly after those CM Punk chants, and this was a good story with Jack Perry first tying Darby Allin's hands together, then tying his legs together. Then he gets him in the body bag, puts him in the coffin. One last gasp from Darby Allin, but he ends up eating the L. Jack Perry retains the championship. It was Darby Allin's first ever loss in a coffin match. And then Jack Perry goes to light the coffin on fire. I think it was the Young Bucks. I think maybe even Okada. Definitely was the Young Bucks coming out. They're going to light it on fire. They dump gasoline. Good job actually making it look like gasoline. Dump it all over the coffin. Open the coffin, dump it all over Darby inside the bag. And I had mentioned previously I was hoping that Sting would come out and save Darby, maybe even help Darby win the championship, which didn't happen. But we got the next best thing. If your heel's going to go over here, that's fine. But it gave the crowd something to pop very loudly about. And it was a favorite moment of the night nominee. Sting coming out, saving Darby Allin from burning. Got the baseball bat. I loved it, man. If we're talking about just the match, I'm going to give it an 87 B+. But if you include everything after, and Sting making what I would think to be a one-off, we know his in-ring career is over, but this made total sense. Coming out and saving Darby Allin. Overall, I'm going to give this whole thing with the coffin match and what happened afterwards an A, a 93. And yeah, I think we got everything covered. We're down to the main event for the AEW World Championship title versus career. And just a hell of a story, man. Absolutely incredible. Just giving me goosebumps even saying that and thinking about everything that happened here. It was fantastic. And I tell you what, man, I was never really huge, as I've stated before. I was never really a big Bryan Danielson fan. I respected the Yes Movement. I will tell you, going into this match with the build, and then even the build on the show before the match started, them talking about it, and with the final countdown and Bryan's family, as soon as they showed his family, I was like, uh-oh, there's a chance he loses this thing. So I thought that was a great way to get us off the track, that he might actually have a shot in winning this thing. But this is the most invested and the most I've ever rooted for Bryan Danielson in his entire career. I was into it. I was rooting for him hardcore so much, wanted him so badly to win this match and keep his career going. And I will say I gained even more respect for Bryan Danielson, what happened in this match, and then the post-media scrum with his daughter sitting on his lap. Tony Khan cried whenever that, said that was the first time he's ever cried in a post-media scrum. I was getting a little misty-eyed during that, with Daniel Bryan during the match, looking over at his family, and then afterwards celebrating in the middle of the ring. It was really, really a feel-good moment. Bryan Danielson said afterwards that was a favorite moment of his entire career, and I wouldn't even say, oh, well, you're just being short-sighted because it just happened. I wouldn't even say that. I totally agree. Absolutely, totally agree. Oh, man, this was it was just really great. And just talk about the build to this thing, how Swerve was this, pretty beloved babyface, over as a babyface, but did he really change that much? He really didn't change a whole lot, and he took on the role as the heel of this thing, which I think helped Bryan Danielson look even better and get even louder pops, because we didn't really hear too many 50-50 chants or anything like that. That crowd wanted Bryan Danielson to win this thing, take the title, keep his career going. And they were nuts, man. They were nuts. Great wrestling, excellent storytelling. I love Bryan Danielson saying, I love you, looking right at his family. And I think he got the kick to the back of the head. Just one of those moments like, oh no, this is it. He looked over at his family, he says, I love you. But it led to an incredible false finish, then 2 or 3 more times after that. The false finish Daniel Bryan just kept coming back and back and back. The little engine that could, he just kept going. He kept fighting, such determination and such grit, and eventually he completes that comeback. He makes Strickland tap out. First time Swerve's ever tapped out in AEW. That was maybe a small, tiny, little criticism there. I would have done a 1-2-3 with Bryan Danielson hitting his patented kick, maybe 2 or 3 of them, and then that being the finish as opposed to a tap out, just because, then you can get the crowd chanting 1, 2, 3, and that pops even probably a little bit louder than it was. But that's just a small nitpick because they blew the freaking roof off of that thing, and that is nominee for Pop of the Night, Moment of the Night, all the above, baby. This was incredible stuff that happened. It was what I saw in my head. I just couldn't see this going down any other way. Swerve keeping that title in my head. I was like, nope. Gotta be Bryan Danielson. Gotta be 50,000 plus going yes, yes, yes after he won it. That's what we got, and we got all the feels, baby. A plus 98 for this main event. Overall show, A 93. I loved it, man. I loved it. My top 3 matches, the main event, number 2 was Will Ospreay and MJF, and number 3, and it's almost tied for second, Mariah May and Toni Storm. I would say if you had to argue that there was one match, it's like not one of the 1 or 2 matches that everybody's most excited about. To me, that's how you define what is the show stealer. Or the other matches that aren't gaining as much prominence, but they still gain a lot, don't get me wrong, but show stealer, Mariah May and Toni Storm. Best moment, 1,000%, Bryan Danielson winning that championship. Second best moment was Sting saving Darby. Third best moment, Ospreay winning the International Championship. Fourth best, Ricochet's debut. I don't know. I'd say actually, maybe Nigel. Maybe Nigel is 4, and then we'll go Ricochet 5. Best entrance. I probably should have kept up with this a bit more. There's probably maybe some other ones that you might argue were better, but I love Will Ospreay's, just again with the Assassin's Creed package and him coming out. I'm going. My number 1 was Mercedes Moné entering with the carriage and the corgis like a queen. And she was saying after in the media scrum, those were male corgis. She's got a bunch of female, or it was opposite. I think those were female corgis. She's got a bunch of male corgis at home. They were going to breed them together, so she'd have a little bit of blood in the royal family. I'm paraphrasing something like that, but it made me laugh, made me smile. I loved her coming out with the carriage. She's a queen, man. She acted like a queen, and she got the job done. Young Bucks entrance was very cool as well. I know a lot of people might disagree with me, and I didn't think Jericho did a great job singing, but I just thought how cool of a moment that was for him, getting to sing his way. He got to make his own entrance on his way to the ring. Pretty damn cool. Best gear, MJS was really cool. Young Bucks, good as well. I didn't pay total attention. Didn't write down any more than that. I'm sure there were some others that I'm missing that were very good as well. Let me know what you guys think of all this stuff in the comments. And kindly, again, if you haven't already, I'll pause. Go ahead. Take the time now. You subbed? You subbed? Much obliged. Thank you very much. Loudest pops. Bryan Danielson winning. Ospreay winning. Sting. Those are my 1 through 3 that I saw and heard with my ears. Then Nigel 4. And then how about Jack Perry when he poured the shards of glass? I predicted that. I was like, oh, what do you think's in the bag? What do you think's in the bag? I'm like, oh, it's going to be glass. Thumbtacks would have been too easy. Let's go a little more hardcore. Let's make it shards of glass. And that's what we got. And one of the biggest heels, top 10 heels in the company, arguably. He became one of the biggest baby faces, at least for a moment there, when he poured that glass out. And the crowd went bananas. Banana. Great show, man. This was a lot of fun. Again, please let me know what you guys think in the comments. That is our AEW All-In Review. Like, follow, subscribe, all that good jazz. Yeah. God bless.